Okay. So go ahead and log in, and you can go ahead and try the first one if you want to. After you get logged in, you basically need to write an equation that's going to fit the dotted graph there. A couple got figured out here. So when doing these, the first thing you need to figure out is if it's a sine or a cosine. This one, it starts sort of in the middle, so that tells it's a sine. And then figure out what you need to change. I put this equation up here. I talked about this yesterday. There was also like a plus C in here, but we're not going to worry about phase shifts for now, which is the C. Just know that the A is the amplitude, which changes the height. The B is the relates to the period. It's 2 pi over the period, which is the B. And then the D is the vertical shift or the midline. Kind of the same thing. So with this one, the only transformation we've got is the amplitude is changing, right? Just amplitude is taller there. Midline is the same. Amplitude is 2. So all I got to do is just throw a 2 in front. And there we go. Easy warm up one there. All right, give this one a shot. See if we can figure this one out. So if you haven't figured it out, you need to reflect it. Make it look right. It looks like a bunch of mustaches or something. So reflect the sign and add the 2 in front as well. Very good. Okay, let's add something else to it here. So the next one, figure out what you gotta do. Good. This one's reflected as well, and then it's shifted down, so we want to add or subtract on the outside. So it's sine x, and then it's minus 2 shifted down. And with the negative in front. Very good. All right, next one. This one, the midline shifted down 2. And the amplitude from the midline is enough 1, 2, 3. So it's down 2, and then it's like stretched, or the amplitude is 3. And then we still got the down 2. Okay. Give this one a shot. So if you didn't figure it out, this one is a cosine. We're going to start with cosine because it's starting up at the top. And then its amplitude is still 1, but it's shifted up 1 because now the midline is at plus 1. The other thing that's different, after you plug that in, is that the period isn't 2 pi. So if you just plug in what you know, which is the cosine x plus 1, period is off. So to find the period, we have to find the new b. We're just going to set up an equation like this. There, just smart ink here. It never shuts off for any other class. I think it has like a timer every day it shuts off. Alright. The b is going to be 2 pi over the period, and this new period is from here to here, which is pi. So x distance is pi. So 2 pi over pi, and then the pi's cancel. So our b is 2, and that's where that 2 comes from in the x. Alright, we can try that one. Alright, so this one's got 3 things. It's a cosine, because it's starting at the top or the bottom, starts at the bottom, which means we need to reflect it. So the reflection within the cosine is then shifted up 1 because the midline is now at 1. And then the amplitude is not 1 anymore. The amplitude only goes up from 1 to half, 1.5 there. So we need the half amplitude. So it shrinks it down vertically. We need to zoom out a little bit. So, it's a cosine that's been reflected, so we get a negative cosine. The amplitude is 2 because the midline is here, so that's distance of 2. It also needs to shift up 1. And then the period is pi again, so then the b is 2 pi over pi, which cancels, so just 2 for the b. Like, again. Alright. Yeah. So this is a negative cosine again. Period is the same, pi, so that's where we get our 2. It is shifted down 3, the lines there, which makes the amplitude 2. So negative 2 cosine of 2x minus 3. What's that mean? Okay, so here's a different challenge. This one actually says to use a sine function. You guys could probably all use the cosine to do this pretty easily, right? But see if you could also do a sine function. To do so, you'll need to use a phase shift. See if you can figure that out. Mr. Davis. Hey. Yeah, he goes like by Asante. Yeah. He actually isn't here. Did Asante already leave? Does anybody know? He left at lunch, apparently. Sure. You're welcome. Huh. Yeah. Sorry. Bye. Does anybody know how to pronounce his real name? Well, it's not a real name. What? They always try to say it. So, obviously, you could write this as a cosine as 2x. But if you were to do this using a phase shift, is anybody able to do it with sine? Well, on. Yeah. No, not quite. No. So if you just do sine of 2x, you get almost it right, except it's just a little bit off, right? So then basically what you need to do is figure out, you can actually shift it either way. Shift it either this way or this way to make it match. So then what you do is you put a parenthesis, and it doesn't have any of these on the delta method, so that's why we're not practicing too much today. And then it's but it's pi over 2, though, right? Because you get 2 pi over 4.
Oh, yeah, pi over, yeah, that's But I did 2x.
You did
I
2.
did plus pi. Yes, sine of 2. Wait. If you do it,
I think you get minus 3 pi over 4.
So you put the 2 inside there.
Yeah, 2
Okay.
minus.
So, which actually would make it then just pi.
Okay.
Yeah. So depending on whether you factor it out or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or yeah, if you just pull the 2 out, it would just be x minus pi.
3 pi over 4.
No.
Oh, wait, because no, because you do positive sine.
Right, yeah. But there's a number of ways you can do it.
I did plus pi over 4.
So this one changes the period, and then it's a phase shift to the left by pi over 4. And then it would be equivalent to shifting it to the right, I believe, minus 3 pi over 4. Right? Yeah. So that's another way you can do it. Yeah. Like I said, you don't have to worry about too much about your phase shifts for today. All right, try this last one. I think it's pretty easy. Oh, so this one, the period ends, it's not 2 pi over 3. It looks kind of like 2 pi over 3. But the period actually ends, if you click up at the top there, you can see what it is. It actually ends at 2. So the period is 2. Let's go ahead. So the b ends up just being pi because it's 2 pi over 2. So you have the cosine with that stretch there a little bit too, cosine. Oops. All right, the last few, we almost spent a lot of time on this, but you can try to figure some of these out. You're supposed to try to figure out a function that will work for this. So you can mess around with it a little bit if you want to, but you got to do kind of some weird things in science. I don't actually know the answers because there's no answers on here. So see if you can figure out something like that. I'm guessing this has something to do with like absolute value. And then let's go over like the sine. Because if you just do absolute value of the sine of x, you get kind of that deal. Then you gotta manipulate it some more. Report screen here. Nice. All right. Caleb figured it out. Absolute value of 1 minus 2 sine x. Very good. All right, let's try another one. I'll give you a hint for this one as well. So this one is what you want to do. Sine of 1 over x in some way. You get, I'm on the wrong screen. I'm gonna bring down this one close. I will try the last
Hey, you
one.
should look at Hold up. I think I'm not going to.
That's all, make sure.
Let's try the last one too. We can figure it out. Huh?
Hey, what's that one do? Oh, I thought that was just.
Somebody using well, yeah. It is. I would assume this has something to do with the sine or cosine, but I don't know. Looks like maybe sine. Oh yeah.
I'll just have it. I'll just have it.
So you can steal Brian's temple there. 2x plus sine x.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
Alright, very nice. Good job. Alright, let me give Brian and Caleb an extra point. You guys both figured one out. You guys want to try the last one we didn't get? Well, let's do something and get it. Get a couple minutes. So I think it's actually x sine x, not
Yeah,
1. And then you just gotta manipulate that. Somebody have it? You got it. No, it's oh, whoops. Didn't move you guys over. You got it. Is it in there? Oh, so just x cosine x. Would
Yeah,
say.
it's cosine.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right, that's the end of that. Good job figuring those out. The other classes weren't able to figure them out. So,
Uh, 2x,
just 2x sine 2x or something.
2x plus.
Yeah, 2x plus 2 sine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, good. Cool. All right. With the rest of the period, we're going to finish up these last 3 delta maths from the assignment from yesterday. These do have a little bit more challenging periods. So, like for example, let me try to find that harder one. Some of them have fractions. Here's one example. You're gonna, just a refresher, try to get to match the dotted one, kind of like we've just been doing. So this is obviously going to be a negative sign, and it's going to shift down 3 because that's where it's going to starting now. But the thing that's going to be different about today's is that it's going to have, you're going to have to change the period. So the period of the dotted one starts here and it ends here, which is at 12. So then what you're going to do is b equals 2 pi over whatever the period is of the dotted one. So 2 pi over 12, which would reduce to pi over 6. So that's what you're going to type in for your period. It's pi over 6. There's some, I think in level 3, that are actually maybe even a little bit more challenging, where you'll get fractional ones. So like for instance, this one, the period of this dotted one, from here to here, it's 10 pi. This one's not bad. It's 2 pi over 10 pi. So obviously that reduces to just 1/5 for your b. Try to see something a little bit harder. Okay, like this one. All right. So the one we're trying to get is a cosine, and the period is just this pi over 3 is the period. So you're going to do 2 pi over pi over 3, and then you got to keep change flip. So you do keep the top, change the multiplication, flip the bottom. When you do that, the pi's are going to cancel, and you're left with 2 times 3, which is 6. So 6 is going to go into your b up here. And everything else is pretty much the same as yesterday. So it's going to be plus 2. And throw this out. And then you have some multiple choice problems at the end, which are like word problems, which you guys can figure out as well. So you got the rest of the period to work on that. Make sure you ask me if you get stuck on one you can't figure out, especially the period. If you can't figure that out, just raise your hand and I'll come help you out.